Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. Today we're going to revisit one of my old videos, which is thoughts on Ableberries, and then we'll do this because we got the new update 8.2, which had some changes to the Ableberries that we have. And then the video will be split into three parts. Part 1 is about talking about the increased drop rate for gold Ableberries. Part 2 will be talking about the new Ableberries that were added to the list. And then 3, we'll be going through all of the Ableberries and talking about which ones are good and what missions they're good for and what characters. Okay, so part 1. I have been running the temples a lot lately, and my feeling is that maybe 50 to maybe 70% of the runs there will be a gold Ableberry. And that's especially with the time trials where you can get anywhere from 3 to 6 Ableberry drops. And yeah, that's a pretty good rate. That definitely eases the pain of going through the trials or the temples to get the berries. Part 2 is talking about the new Ableberries, and then we'll head to the website to see what's going on there. And the reason why we're going to the website is because I have not put them on any of my monsters because these are garbage. Forgive my language, but these Ableberries are not good at all. And I will argue for, X-Flag. I'm a big supporter of X-Flag, and I think lately they've been all aces in all of their updates. But these Ableberries are horrible, and they make the running the temples more unpleasant as well. And they're useless, whatever. But we'll go through them one by one. First is a clear uncap. It increases the turns you get in order to get the speed clear. And then, yeah, if you wanted to get the reason why you would want to get the speed clear is so you get that extra chest at the end of the mission. To get around that, you could just get better at the mission and beat it more quickly. Or you could use better characters. Or you could use the medal item so you can get extra chests at the end of the quest, which would make up for this one. So there's no reason why you want to use a clear uncap. Next is a timekeeper, and then these next two, these are for people interested in hard grinding of getting a lot of medals. And then the only people that would really be interested in that are ones that are interested in making the max luck of Olive. Which is only going to be for maybe 1% of the players. So yeah, these last two berries are only for 1% of the players. Timekeeper raises the time you get to get an S rank, and then if you get to S rank, you get a multiplier on your medals, which is pretty great. But again, if you want to get the S rank, you'd be better off using better monsters, or failing that, just playing an easier quest, like going through the library and then doing it that way. And finally, we have a Tally Topper, and this one might be the best of the three new ones, but that's not saying very much. This gives you actual medals. It doesn't help you with your play at all, it just rewards you more at the end. But even with the super rare S++ berry, the bonus is very small, only 100 medals. If you are playing, just a normal quest and you're doing co-op and you're using low starred characters, you can get like 1,000 medals just that way. And then this is only a 10% of that. And then if you're playing a quest that's new that gets like a 5 times multiplier, that's even a smaller percent. So yeah, effectively useless, I would say, this berry as well. If it were something more like Genius, where you got, another 50% multiplier, or, double or something, that might be something to have and use. And that actually, if the bonus were high enough, it might inspire more people to go for the Olive Max Luck. But this bonus is so pathetic that it's not necessary at all. Yeah, the last kind of strike against these medals is that ideally you would want to put these medals on really kind of powerful go anywhere hatcher monsters, because as the game progresses, different quests are going to have the multiplier, that 5 times multiplier, and then you're going to want a monster with this berry that can go to all of those quests. And so you need a very versatile monster, very versatile and powerful, like Alice or Arthur or Lucifer, that could conceivably go to many more missions just because they're so powerful. But why would you want to waste an Ableberry slot on one of these really garbage Ableberries? So yeah, these Ableberries are for almost nobody. And while before the metal system didn't have any really an effect on the rest of the game, now they do have an effect because it's kind of decreased the chances of getting an actual good Ableberry. And the only Ableberry that I would really recommend to everybody to get is the Genius Ableberry. But with these Ableberries in there, it's going to be more difficult to get that. Thankfully, we do have the increased drop rate for gold Ableberries to make up for it. If we did not have that, I would be extra angry, but whatever. Yeah, if you get any of these 3 Ableberries, just toss them. They're not worth it. Okay, well, that was part 2. We'll return to the game and then go to part 3, where I go through the Ableberries and talk about which ones are good, and on what characters are they good, and in which events they would be good for. Okay, and we'll start at the beginning again. First we have a Genius, and this is the one Ableberry that I would say is worth hunting for. That would mean playing the temples over and over again until you get one on the character that you need it on. Unfortunately, at this time, I cannot recommend which monster to put the Genius Ableberry on, because we have not gotten those final series of trials to raise our rank. But I can tell you that Loki would be a really good choice, because he's got the Blast Bump combo and then the strong Laser Bump combo. Or you could put it on a Pierce character with a strong homing shot. There should be a good trial quest where that is really useful. So Mundus would be good, Alice would be good, and maybe a Pavarti as well. So yeah, if you get a Genius on one of those, keep it. Or Loki. Loki would work too. Okay, next is our Profiteer. This is another worthless Ableberry, so you don't need that at all. As you can see, I have a ton of money, and that's just from playing normally. And I have like no % chance of running out of money, so you don't need Profiteer. Next is a Sidekick, and then a Sidekick raises the damage that you get from your bump combos. And this is one of the very best Ableberries in the game. You want to get the Ableberry, though, on a character that already has a strong bump combo. Just because the damage that you get to increase the damage of a strong bump combo is much greater than the damage that you increase to a weak bump combo. So yeah, this bump combo is good for increasing the strength of an already strong bump combo. It's much more effective than trying to cover for a weak bump combo. Okay. Next up is Survivor, and this is one of my favorite Ableberries. And yeah, it cuts damage by 20% off all damage if you get the S class. And then this is especially good on characters with resistance, like fire resistance or water resistance. I don't have any here to show you, I think, because that will stack with that resistance. And then this is also especially good for light or dark characters, because they all do extra damage in those quests, light and dark, to each other, but then they also take extra damage just because that's the way it works. But if you get Survivor on a light or dark character, they get that bonus of extra damage without having to take extra damage, so that's pretty great. And then, yeah, as the game progresses, kind of the top tier difficulty quests, the damage output is going to get higher and higher, so Survivor is going to become more and more important. Okay, next up is Cutthroat, and this is good in very high level quests, like impossible quests, because the bosses often have so many hit points. And then I would say this is especially good for drop monsters, or double max luck drop monsters, Just because, you know, Sidekick wouldn't really be good for her. Queen Butterflight's stats are already pretty good, so we don't need to raise those. Strike Shot, we don't need Strike Haste. So yeah, the double max luck drop monsters that are good for impossible monsters are the best candidates for Cutthroat, I would say. Okay, moving on, here is Knockout. And Knockout is one of the more rare Ableberries, so if you do get an S-Class of this, I would say hang on to it, no matter who you get it on, even a slow power type. I would say hang on to it. And this is personally my favorite Ableberry. I would love Knockout on everybody, actually. That's how much I love it. What it does is that it has a small chance to stun a guy that you hit, or dizzy it. And then what that happens is that you can skip the next 2 turns of a dizzied monster's attack. And that's amazing. This is actually the only Ableberry that kind of adds a whole new ability to a character. The Ableberry does best on high-speed characters that are Pierce, because Pierce characters generally have higher speed anyway. And then the targets that you want to knock out the most are boss characters, and then Pierce monsters get a lot of hits on boss characters as they go back and forth. So yeah, Knockout highly recommended, and better on fast Pierce monsters. Okay, next up we got Strike Haste, and this is one of the more controversial Ableberries. I think it's great. A lot of people don't think it's great. What it does is that it cuts off the starting count for the Strike Shot count, but it only does it for the first wave, or the first round through. So for example, Arthur here has a 25 count on the Strike Shot. The Strike Haste S-Class here reduces it by 3. So the first Strike Shot, it will take 22 turns to fire. The second will take another 25. So the Strike Haste doesn't affect the second or third count of the Strike Shot. Some people don't like it because it doesn't affect the second or third round through. But really, the Ableberry would be too powerful if it affected every go-around. Especially for characters with a very short charge, like Ra here. So yeah, if it were every 9 turns, she could shoot out the poison, not the poison, but the mist. That would be too much, I think, so that's probably why they did it that way. And then this Ableberry is really good for characters with a long Strike Shot count, like Son Goku here. He has a 26 turn Strike Shot count, but to bring that down would be really nice. Not so much that you could use it more than once in a mission, because that's probably not going to happen, but just to have it more available to you for more turns. That would be really useful. It's also really good for missions where you want to stall to charge your Strike Shots. And again, Son Goku here, he's really good for Hakua, and it's very recommended in Hakua to stall to charge up your Strike Shots, so that could be also good for him. And other characters that the Strike Shot is good for is for characters that have more kind of support Strike Shots. Some Strike Shots you use last because they're like a finisher, they do big damage. In Mundus's case, you're using his Strike Shot more to set up your other guys. So of course you want to use this Strike Shot before your other ones. And then you could also use Strike Haste on characters that use their Strike Shot often, or with like a low count. And then Aladdin is a great example of this. He has an 8-turn Strike Shot, which is great if you're avoiding magic circles or you want a lot of counterattacks. So Strike Haste is really good on him as well. So yeah, actually a lot of uses for Strike Haste. You just need to be aware of which characters they are best for, or which missions. Okay, next is Detox, and this is becoming more and more useful as time goes on. The best examples I can think of are floor 24 of the Tower of Champions, and then, let's see, Doom, who just came out, there's a lot of poison in there, so Detox could be helpful in there. And then also the upcoming Shambhala, the Wood Colossal Quest. The poison in there is very strong. And that's the reason why I've put this Detox A+ Ableberry on Ryoma, and I'm not upgrading it until I get a Detox S-Class. Yeah, the poison is that damaging in there, so that's useful there. It's also really good for Kushinada, because there's that Spritzer stage with the really strong poison. So again, Ryoma is a good candidate for that. Okay, next up is Mend. And Mend I don't really like. It gives you like 100 or 1,000 HP every turn, which sounds like a lot in the long term, but it's fine. I much prefer Survivor. Survivor prevents more damage to you than Mend heals to you, I feel. The one case where Mend is really useful is for quests where all of your 4 team members have separate life bars. So far we've only had origami, but in the future we'll have impossible quests even with that sort of system. So for then, Mend would be useful. For now, we don't need it. Okay, and then we come to the class bias style berries of Kin Strength, Kin Speed, and Kin Vigor. And then of these 9, the single best one I would say is the class Kin Strength. It raises the character's attack power, and it raises it more than the bias or style Ableberries. So yeah, if you get class Kin Strength on a guy, you can't really go wrong with it. It's especially good for people where they have command strike shots. So like Lucifer here, when she uses her command strike shot, there's a multiplier on everybody for their attack, and then the Kin Strength bonus, it is also multiplied by that command strike shot, so that's really good for that. It's also really good for characters with a Slayer, since the Slayer also multiplies that bonus. What else? It's also good for characters with a Meteor Strike shot, since the damage of the meteor is often a multiplier of the character's strength. So the higher the strength, the more damage is multiplied there as well. Next is class Kin Speed. This could be good for characters with a wall-bound strike shot. The one where they touch the wall, get the attack up, hit the enemy, come back, and then go back and forth. And then the more speed you have, the more hits you get back and forth. So that can be really good for like Saigo Takamori, for example. He'd be a really good candidate for class Kin Speed. And then of the 3 speed Ableberries, class, style, bias, class is the best because it gives you the highest bonus. And then I haven't really found a use for the bias or the style Kin Speeds. So if you get one of those, then feel free to replace that with something else. And then next is class Kin Vigor. And yeah, this is a nice way to give you more hit points. The best characters for this are ones where there are lots of that kind of class. A good example would be Smopel. He is a sprite. There's lots of sprites, including all of the angels, so that's a good one to have there. Another good one is... who else is good? Deity. Ah, yeah. Striker's another good one, because he is a deity class. And there are lots of monsters that are deities, so he can really spread around that HP bump. Let's see, Ryoma is a samurai. There's a fair amount of samurai, so that can work on him too. Oh yeah, look at that, another samurai. Alrighty, I think that will do for class Kin Vigor. And then, yeah, from now on, these style and bias Ableberries, I would recommend less. But there are very certain instances where they are ideal. One of those is style Kin Strength. And you want this when you are using a party of like all bounces or all pierces. And then Da Vinci X, for example, she's really good for Nirai Kanai. And so most people like to use an all pierce team when they play Nirai Kanai. So the style Kin Strength is perfect for her. So everybody will get that bonus attack. And then also because she has a Meteor Strike shot, that will be multiplied by that bonus. And then she also has a Slayer, so that will also be multiplied into the bonus. Yeah, again, Style Kin Speed and Bias Kin Speed I would say are not that great, so I already get rid of them. I do have it on this Bastet here. I'm really happy to have an S++ on a drop monster, but the berry's not that good. But I don't really use this Bastet very much anyway, so maybe I'll just leave it like as a trophy. And then finally we have Bias Kin Strength, and this can be good in Bishamonten if you're trying to raise Kushinada's attack above the one punch line. And so Kushinada, she is a speed type, so if you get a Bias Kin Strength Ableberry of S or higher on another wood null damage while speed type, that would raise Kushinada's attack so that Kushinada could one punch the anti-pierce guys. But beyond that, that's all I can recommend for those. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and happy hunting with the berries. We'll see you again. Take care.